uppercut, sonic boom! Well, hello there, humans, bees, earthlings, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Bushka, and today we're going to be talking about the top 6 close quarters guns in PUBG Mobile. Just because the gun isn't on the list doesn't mean it's a bad gun. God knows I've won hot drops with the crossbow. I've played pistol only and beat people in close quarters combat. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there are some guns, like the S12K, which I just feel are too unreliable to be considered as the best in CQC. Because, let's be honest, you don't always hit your shoddy shots. When they do, they're spectacular, and when you don't, not so good. There's a lot of criteria that we judge this on, but the most important thing is that on its own, if you had to choose it to beat another player, this would be the kind of weapon you'd want to grab. I'm going to go through the pros and the cons of all the weapons and break down why I chose them, where I chose them. At number 6 is this little number here, the Beryl M762. The Beryl was a late addition to the PUBG Mobile game. The AKM was obviously the first 7.62 AR in the game, and it was made famous by so many players. Like Mortal really kicked off big time playing the Mortal loadout, which was a AKM and a DP28. The Beryl came along a little bit later and is very, very famous for being one of Choco Taco's favorite weapons. It's also a wonderful weapon just in its own right because it's got the same rate of fire as an M416, but it's got a round that does 5 more damage per shot to a chest area. And that's important because that means you can clear a target in 0.285 seconds compared to the M416's 0.38, which means that you are shredding at 30% faster rates, which is really, really important in this kind of engagement. And especially if you are a player that deals with high ping and everything like that, then you need to fire as fast as possible. You need to get your damage done early or you're going to have a few struggles. Now, let's talk about some of the pros and some of the cons and why the Beryl came in 6 rather than a little bit higher in the standings. And the main 2 factors that are really annoying with the Beryl is the iron sights are terrible. You can see the AKM's iron sights are beautiful and flat. The Beryls are terrible. They're just like, they take up so much space. The other thing is this annoying thing where you go from automatic to single for long targets, and then there's a burst mode in between that no one really uses. So sometimes you'll be in burst when you run in for a CQC engagement, and boom, you get absolutely rinsed because you press the button down once, fire 3 rounds, and then they did go like, well, we're not going to fire in burst, we're going to go full auto. But if you know how to use it, if you can handle the recoil, if you can sort it out with the right attachments, and it loves to do a whole lot of, rising up, then the Beryl M762 is an absolutely gorgeous weapon and something that you should probably have a real long, hard look with. Now, the next up is number 5, and that is the Uzi. And this is possibly the most controversial on the list because so many players swear by this gun. And I mean, I don't think it's doing anything wrong. It's at number 5 in the entire game, and there's so many guns, but there were some things that put the Uzi at number 5 instead of number 4, and number 4 is nearly interchangeable with the Uzi, but we'll get to that. The problem with the Uzi is it's so good in CQC, but it struggles at certain things. Namely, its round does such a small amount of damage, and it's the smallest damaging round of any of the guns you're going to see on this list, with just 25.9 into someone that's wearing no chest armor, that it can take 6 rounds to clear a level 2 vest. And that means that if you potato at the start, you can end up in all kinds of trouble, like this. And this is where I think the guy's going through the window, so I start my pre-fire, but he pulls back, and I have to pull off a drop shot on an AR switch to get the job done. And that's a single target. When you're versing multiple targets, that small magazine size can really break you. Now, you say it's not small, it's got 35 rounds. Yeah, but each round only does 25.9 damage to a chest area. So that means that this and the gun that came in at number 4, the MP5K, are super interchangeable. But the MP5K got the nod for me for pretty much this reason. If you are firing an MP5K, you have 40 rounds at 34.4 base damage, which gives you the potential output of 1,376 damage. If you're firing an Uzi, you have 906 potential damage output. So they both have the same time to kill a target, 0.258 seconds, but one of them has the ability to do it more. So you can clear more targets with an MP5K than you can with an Uzi before you have to reload. Not to say that the Uzi is bad or the MP5K is just so good, but they're very, very close. And they're both 9mm guns with very low shell velocity, and they struggle in different areas. The MP5K's reload is brutally long. And you're going to see in this situation here, I'm going to get hit by a guy with a pistol. Obviously, this is a very hot drop at Villa. And the guy with the pistol, and I go through a full 4-second reload. Oh, come on, this is killing me. And then we get the clear. You need an extended quick draw mag to actually make that work. And that's kind of difficult to put in. But look, let's be honest. When we're looking at this, we're looking at the best possible outputs, as you're going to see as we move further and further along the grapevine. And I could be absolutely happy if you said I prefer the Uzi over the MP5K. I would understand that, because despite their incredible similarities, there are enough differences that it does become obvious. Something else that I want to talk about here is that there is just a greater margin for error when you have more damage in the gun. You can potato a little bit, and when you're blowing up cars and vehicles, being able to output more damage is really important. And if you're in a squad situation, that's literally life and death, and Uzi does that very, very poorly. They're both excellent because they're SMGs, so you can run full pelt with an SMG, and that mobility benefit over ARs and DMRs is excellent. But it's not excellent enough to get it across the line against the number 3 gun. Now, this was also a very, very tough call between number 3 and number 2. I think number 1 was pretty clear cut. But the GROZA is just incredibly strong. Where we talk about potential damage output, you had that 1300 from the MP5K. The GROZA has nearly 2000 potential damage output because it's got the same base round damage as an AKM, 47.9, and it's got 40 in the clip. The negative on the GROZA is obviously that it's got a lot of recoil, but this is like a no potato, get them up close and personal and just hip fire and it will shred targets to bits. Its rate of fire coupled with a round this absolutely massive gives it the fastest time to kill of any of the ARs. 0.237. It's faster even than an Uzi in terms of time to kill. It's just an absolutely dominating gun in TDM, and it's one of the reasons why so many people are calling it to be nerfed in team deathmatch games. What it doesn't have is the ability to mount any kind of attachment that helps you with the recoil, which is a bit of a thing. Like, you can't mount a compensator, all you can do is mount a silencer, which makes it sound cool, but really is bloody pointless for the gun. But hey, it does sound cool. It's one of the coolest sounding guns in game. The third, because of this beastie, the M249. A lot of people may not agree with that, but I want you to just hang on and listen to what I've got to say, and maybe it'll get you to rethink your position. The M249 is the straw that stirs the drink. It unlocks so many different weapons combinations, regardless of whether you're playing solos, squads, or duos, because the M249 has so much potential damage output that you can run a bolt-action rifle in your secondary slot and you'll be fine. As I clear 3 targets without reloading. I even clear the knocks. It's got 4,380 potential damage to put out, and it does it at nearly GROZA levels in terms of both rate of fire and damage. The base round of the M249 is 43.8. That is above all the 5.56 AR guns, which is 40.9. All of them are 40.9. If you don't like hearing that, congratulations, welcome to the world of hard knocks. And the rate of fire on the M249 is just a shade off the GROZA's 0.237 per round at 0.243. So you've got a gun that is nearly as good at its optimals as the GROZA, but can do it for 100 rounds instead of 40. Sign me up. And it allows you, if you're in solo versus squads, to run a bolt action in your second slot and still never have to worry about anything else. Of course, the reload time is heartbreaking, but you've got 100 rounds. So unless you're a complete potato, you should be okay. Now, all the top 3 guns are crate weapons, and it's no surprise if you've been watching the channel for any length of time that the #1 close combat weapon in the entire multiverse is the Mark 14. Mate, this thing had beat Thanos. The knock on the Mark 14, and there are many, is that, well, people say it's too difficult, and it's got not enough rounds in the clip, and blah-bitty-blah-bitty-blah. But watch this clip here. Watch as 2 guys knock Mr. Ouija, and then with 20 rounds, I absolutely rinse them both. This is a 20-round gun able to clear people in level 3 gear like that. It is insane what this gun can do. And the reason it can do it is because of its raw power. The gun has a 60 base damage round. The GROZA has 47.9. This has 60 base damage in its rounds. And the rate of fire on the Mark 14 is 0.0915, which, if you're wondering, is in fact faster than an M416. So it's got 33% more damage than an M416, and it fires faster than M416, which means at the end of the day, it's time to kill a level 2 vest. Well, the GROZA so far is best in show at 0.237. Is it 0.23? Is it 0.22? Is it 0.21? Is it 0.2? Is it 0.19? It's 0.18 of a second. That should blow your mind. If you come up against an M416 with this gun and everyone's rocking M416s, then they are going to get the shock of their life. The M416 will clear a level 2 vest in 0.38 of a second. The Mark 14 will do it in 0.18 of a second. That's just crazy numbers. It's absolutely crazy how quick this gun is in terms of time to kill. Sure, it's hard to use. Sure, it takes good recoil control. Sure, it takes good resource management. You can't just blow all your clip at once when you're in CQC situations. But you can run this gun and win if you know what you're doing. And my dream loadout is like 2 of these things. If I can run 2 of them, I'll run 2 of them. The Mark 14 is #1 in terms of close combat. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, sorry, leave a comment below. Let me know what you'd like to see. And if you could always subscribe and like and share, that would help me tremendously. Look after yourselves, boys and girls. And as always, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.